so many happy smiling faces. See if I can put a dent in that. Now, my favourite reference always like to understand who I'm talking to. So when I get a show of hands, who's heard of Ray Avery before today? Show of hands. Oh, that's not bad. It's 89.77%. Being slightly famous isn't always cracked up to be. I was driving to the airport the other day in a corporate cab. And I always take corporate cabs because they are quieter than the other drivers who don't talk to me. And I just text and carry on with my business. And this is no mean feat to me texting because I'm dyslexic, even though I have no idea what I'm texting. And as I got in, I sensed the guy recognised me and he just wanted to know who I was. So I put my hand up to acknowledge that I was going to get round to him. And then the phone went and there was a call to Nepal. And I took it and was talking about some problem. And he was getting more and more concerned, that I wasn't responding to him. By the time I got to the airport, he cracked and he said, "Sir, sorry to interrupt." Nice Indian camera. But I have to ask. So I cleared the call and said, "Well, I'm Sir Ray Avery. You may have read my best-selling autobiography, Rebel with a Cause, in its sixth reprint. You may have noted some of the work that I've done in the documentaries that were shown on the television, for my work in Africa and Asia, fixing the size of millions of people. You may have noted that I was knighted in 2011, Grand Knight Companion, the highest order of merit in New Zealand that you can get in the knighthood charts. And of course, in 2011, I was also voted the most trustworthy person in New Zealand." He said, "Actually, sir, I just want to know if you want international or domestic." It's slightly funny, this is not a straight up. I want to talk to you about being a New Zealander because this is the precursor to understand what innovation is all about. And I was brought up in the UK. And as my colleague over there will attest, it's a very compressed country with lots of limitations for an ordinary individual who wants to do something different. In New Zealand, none of these barriers exist. And I'll give you two stories which exemplify what are special. I arrived in New Zealand in 1973, and house prices were doubling overnight, so I bought a few houses around the Mount Eden area. One of them was a nice villa on the side of Mount Eden with a lava flow that went right the way through the basement. So having plenty of time on my hands, I decided to dig it out and make a 4-car garage. So I went to the hire corner and got a little Kango hammer, 750 watt electric top, put the tool in and drilled it into the mountain. If you've ever done that, you will know that the tool goes in really easily, but doesn't come out. It goes in past the point where the heart is, and now you've got a sculpture fixed to a mountain that you pay $7 a day rental. So what do? You get a bigger one. And I got a bigger one. And then a bigger one. And they all got stuck in the mountain. Even the big pneumatic one stuck in the mountain. And I was getting desperate. And then this Kiwi guy came over from across the road. He's 78 years old and he pulled over, slippers on. I heard the noise. "What are you trying to do?" "I'm trying to get into my basement to the 4-car garage." He said, "Come and look at my place." Went across the road. And it was like somebody on a knife through butter and carved out a whole square of Mount Eden, took it away and threw it away. Perfectly straight walls, bit of damp, no reinforcing. Brilliant. I said, "That's great, I want to do that." "How do you do that?" "Dynamite." I'll do your place. And I said, "What's in damage?" He said, "No, it's a soft charge." He said, "I used to be the chief dynamiter of the Thames gold mine. I'm a bit deaf." I said, "Did he cause any damage?" They said, "No, Mum was upstairs, that's what doing the washing up. 2 floorboards bounced up, nails stuck up, she complained about the slippers banging down, all sweet." And but he was brilliant. He taught me what it was to be a Kiwi. He said, "Look, you need to put a deck out the back." I said, "Well, what about a big macrocarbon tree?" He said, "Well, I've got a chainsaw, don't worry." He came up with a chainsaw that was 1.5 meters long, bigger than you. And he said, "Look, hold this rope." And pulled the tree over here. And about halfway through this, there was a big snap, and he said, "Run!" This tree just flipped me about the waist level, like hitting the ground. And the last thing I remember was this guy standing over with his chainsaw, saying, the fag in his mouth, saying, "Don't worry, I'll cut you out." Now, if you fast forward to tonight, we're launching this book called The Power of Us, and I commend it to you. It profiles 50 or more New Zealanders who I think are inspiring and really do exemplify the Kiwi spirit. One of the guys that best exemplifies along with the dynamite guy is a guy called Peter Beck. Peter Beck, anybody heard of Peter Beck? Otherwise known, one person, he is otherwise known as Rocket Man. And he went down to the Iraqi Gulf and sent a rocket off into interstellar space. Much better fuel payload than NASA are using. In fact, he's got a contract with a sub-NASA company. But he went down to the Iraqi Gulf and sent this rocket into interstellar space. There's no other country in the world yet to do that. People worry where it's going to land. We have no idea. Because he could. And that's what makes New Zealand different. And the tagline for the book is, New Zealanders who dare to dream. And I would have been able to do any of the things that I've done with world stage in terms of prevention of blindness and making world-class medical devices and getting out in the world if I hadn't come to New Zealand. Because New Zealanders have no fear of anything. They give things a go. And they're not frightened of failure. They almost see failure as a badge of honour. I tried that and fell over. And they just keep going until they get it right. When I was in Eritrea at the end of the 30-year War of Independence, we ran out of ducting for the high-pressure HEPA system for the factory. And we needed a few more metres. And the war had rather inconveniently started. We couldn't find any metal around. There's none in the country, no other than cheating. And I went to bed rather fretfully. And in the morning, when I woke up, all the New Zealand engineers were in the grounds of this factory, grinding something off these huge sheets of aluminium. I thought, where did you get these from? As I walked across to see where they got them, I could see where they got them because I could see the motorway sign to Kerry. So they've been out all night looking off the motorway signs. Because they're Kiwis, they don't give a shit. If you've got a problem, you fix it. And that's what makes us special. What we're bad at though, and that's what I hope the book will do, is start to put us front of house in terms of who we are as a country. Because I put it to you, if Australia was the lucky country, then New Zealand is a clever country. And we're ferociously clever on the world stage, but we don't acknowledge it. Very simple experiment. Who's heard of Colin Murdoch? Colin Murdoch? No. Only one person, two people. Every single person in this room has been touched by Colin Murdoch. And this is where innovation starts. It usually starts from one pivotal moment of observation. Most of our lives were dumbed down in our ordinary day. We're too busy doing the ordinary things to actually think and to see what's going on around you. And those that do invent stuff. If I gave you a piece of wire and locked you up in a room for 6 months, at the end of it you'd all come out with something. Just need to bend that wire around itself a few times, make a paper clip. Wind it around a pencil and near it to 500 degrees and you get a spring. You're all capable of seeing those things, but you're usually just too busy getting on with the job that you're doing. Colin Murdoch had his moment of catharsis. His wife was dictating a note for the shopping, and the big pen he was using stopped working. So he thought, being a kid, he called it apart, see if he could fix it. And inside he found a little plastic tube with the last little dregs of ink. So he sharpened up a few bits of matches, poked them down, and as he was poking that matchstick down that tube, he had that moment of observation. Went into the garage, fired up the lathe. When I'm telling the story in America, I would say every key's a lathe in the garage. And he fired up the lathe and he invented the world's first plastic disposable hypodermic syringe, which all of you have been inoculated with. One guy changed global healthcare through one moment of observation. He also had 46 prime patents, tranquilizer dart guns to put animals to sleep, tamarind seals, and none of us know who he is. And that's what we're bad at, is saying that we're good at stuff. In that book, this guy who makes 80% of the world's electromagnets for your iPhone and TVs. It's not a big multinational company in America. It's a New Zealand company that really makes most of the stuff that makes the stuff makes everything you use today. Well, I was very pleased that Colin Murdoch invented the plastic disposable syringe because the first time he showed it to the DHBs, the Auckland DHB, they said it's far too futuristic and we'll never find common use. So that's the other part of the job. That's our job as the hub, is to actually get those products to market, to show you how to do it. If Colin had had the hub when he invented this product, we would have had a multi-billion-dollar medical device industry. He took that product, patented it in New Zealand and Australia, and didn't do anything else with it because the Auckland Area Health Board turned it down. Of course, the Americans saw it, thought it was a great idea, produced it in the millions and the squillions, and today, of course, all of us getting hit with those disposable syringes. As a kid in orphanages in the UK, I wasn't blessed with that opportunity. I was injected with the same syringe, glass syringe, and the same needle, because we didn't know about AIDS in 1950. And I was bloody glad my name was Avery, and I was at the front of the queue. Before I even on the stage, Avery, just in case. These things stick to you. But what I want you to think about is how you, in your everyday life, can take some time out to observe what's going on. Be customer-centric. Watch your customers and the patients and see what opportunities there are for you to see something that nobody else has done and things go with this. You're all capable of doing it. And already, what I like with New Zealand landscape is one of our greatest assets is trust. The stuff that we do here is valued on the world stage. They know and trust what we do. And we've just done a deal today, a handshake off on this technology that these guys have rolled out. I didn't know about it, but it sets something that I need right now. And so what we need to do is open the doors to what you've got in the tool, the ideas that you've got, and they may seem silly, and there may be problems. If enough people have the same problems, then there's actually a business to be made out of providing a solution. It could be a software program, it could be a process, or it could be an individual medical device. But my dream is to make us the epicenter of innovation in the world. This is a very important process that we're going through right now with the Innovation Hub. There's no other country in the world where you can get the whole healthcare industry in terms of service delivery in one page. And that's what we've done. And we're probably the biggest and largest clinical trial base in the whole world. But more importantly, we've got those other bits of magic that we take with us, is that we have absolutely no respect for the status quo. Tell the Americans where to go with their submarines, knock off a few motorway signs if required, and we invent things that change the world. So I want you to be part of that journey. You'll see around these little things that you can scan. If you've got an idea, talk to us about it, share those ideas. It's your IP. If there's money to be made, make some money, that's a good thing. Our job is to know how to deploy your good ideas. And it can be anything from a better way to sanitise and clean things or whatever. Some nurse rushed up to me at the end of the last meeting and said, why do we have these gowns with the bottoms hanging out of them? You know, why are they designed like that? And it doesn't make sense if you think about it. But we tend, innovation only occurs through one moment of observation when somebody says, why do you do that? I mean, I've got a fridge at home, I've got one baby in this hand and one baby in that hand, and milk bottles. And what I want to do is a little kick plate. What I professional pilot do is a kick plate. And kick the left one, it'll open the door, and kick the right one, it'll close the door. Totally doable. But somebody has to have the idea. And most of the big ideas in science come about through people not practiced in the art, inventing them. Just like Colin, he wasn't really practiced in the art of being a medical device manufacturer. And something as simple as your microwave oven wasn't invented because a bunch of technicians from Sony went into the laboratory and invented the microwave oven. It was invented by a guy whose job was to detect English submarines coming up the English Channel, and the German submarines coming up the English Channel. And his name was Percy, and he had the biggest magnetron, which is the thing that's in the microwave oven, sending these things up the English Channel to find these submarines. And while he was doing that, he noticed a Hershey bar, chocolate bar, had in his pocket started to melt. He thought, hang on, because it was getting hot, because you know what a magnetron is, it causes water molecules to vibrate quickly. Anything with water in it gets hot. And so the Hershey bar was melting, it was quite hot. And so he thought, if I could put that in a box, I could make something, reflect all that energy, I could make something to heat up your evening meal. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was how the microwave oven was invented. One moment of observation. God knows what he was doing to poor old Percy's testicles at the same time. So be careful out there. But you all are capable of inventing great stuff. I'm very proud of being a New Zealander because if I hadn't come to New Zealand, I wouldn't have made any impact on the world stage in terms of medical interventions. When I went to work with Douglas Pharmaceuticals, I had become a Kiwi. If I had been still in England and somebody said to me, come and set up my pharmaceutical manufacturing division, if one was when I practiced my radar accent, I probably would have said, good Lord, I couldn't possibly do that. I know nothing about pharmaceutical manufacturing. So when somebody asked me to do it, I said, okay. Because I've become a Kiwi. And that's what makes us different. So go out there, think about stuff, bring those ideas to us, and we'll help you with all the skills that we can that are at our disposal to turn those ideas into reality. We are a hugely powerful organisation. So let's go out there and take our place on the world stage. Thank you very much.